There's pretty much one universal kryptonite to any kind of comic collector, and this spring I had to confront it because yes, I had a budget. Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Maddogg, and we're back with another video. The first book that I picked up towards the end of March, beginning of April should come as no surprise because it was the Captain Britain Expanded Edition Omnibus. Yep, repping the Union Jack straight away, this was a book that I was very excited for despite the fact that I did have the original printing. I've still got it, you might be able to see it over my shoulder here because I do think that that's got the better cover and it does just have some sentimental value to me. But despite that, there was no way that I was going to miss out on this, and I am so excited that this book is back in print. I've already done a video about this omnibus and if you need to pick it up, along with who the Captain Britain character is. But Books Etc had a great price on this. I believe it was close to 50% off. I only paid about £61 for it. I'm really excited to crack this open and I'm looking forward to reading some more original writer. Why does that keep happening? But there was a week where Books Etc were very busy because pretty much at the same time they got in the Gotham Central reprint. Again, this was about 50% off. I believe I only paid £39 for this. I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but I'm going to take a leaf out of Marvel Unlimited's website and just not convert it at all. But I was gutted that I didn't pick this up the first time because this is a fantastic DC story and it's just one of my favourites of all time. I really can't wait to jump back into this. I'm hoping that the TV show does it justice. But this is pretty much one of those concepts that sound like it shouldn't be entertaining, but anybody who's read this can tell you how good it is. I didn't think there was going to be a reprint. I also thought that DC was going to do a DC move and cancel it, but I knew there was no way that I wasn't going to buy this, and I'm just so excited that this is entering the dog pound. So yeah, one week in and I'd spent about £100, and it was at this point that I had a bit of an epiphany. Nope, not anything to do with my awful hair, but I realised that I really need to become a lot more financially responsible. Despite what people may think, being a YouTuber does not make you a millionaire, and I still need to make sure that I pay the bills. Electric's gone up, petrol's gone up, and apparently because of petrol going up we should buy an electric car, but then electric's gone up anyway. So I realised that I really needed to tighten the belt and I shouldn't be spending more than about £300 a month. And yes, I know that some of you guys who are watching this might have smaller budgets than that, and I'm not saying that £300 is anything to turn my nose up at, but if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that there were some months where I was spending nearly double or triple that. But I always look at a budget as an opportunity to see which books you really want, and also try and find some good deals along the way, which is why the next book that I picked up was Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron. This is a great series. I featured it in my Where to Start Doctor Strange, and I'm just glad that it exists. Yeah, sure, I do also wish that we had a Doctor Strange by none other than the man himself, Mark fucking Wade omnibus, but at the same time I'm going to take what I can get. It's been a good number of years since I've read this, but it still sticks vividly in my mind, and this is one of those books that I just don't think I'm going to sell. So I paid about £35 for it because Books Etc had a really good price. And no, don't worry, that's not the only place that I've bought books from in this video. Now, if you watched my last haul, you might remember that I said that Strange Girl is the only Rick Remender hardcover that I needed. After clicking upload, I realised that I was incorrect because there was one book that I was still missing. And thanks to Kamal Shazad on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in where you can buy and sell comics, I managed to pick up The Last Days of American Crime oversized hardcover. Straight up, I have no idea what this book's about, but as soon as I realised they existed and it was the last one that I needed and that it was out of print and he was selling it for a phenomenal price, I knew I needed it. I am hoping that for now, except for the pre-orders and stuff that will come out eventually, that I've got every Rick Remender oversized hardcover book. But no, my luck, there's probably another one that I still haven't got. But he shipped this amazingly, there was no issues with it, it got here quickly, he said he watches the channel and asked if I could shout him out. And he was also kind enough to include a few other books which really helped towards the budget. Again, I've never checked out any of these titles before, so I'm very excited to see what they're about. And if you're watching this, mate, I do just want to say a quick thank you again for getting this book to me and for helping me to fill out part of my collection. But then partway through April, something that I thought would never happen, happened. There is one book this year that has probably been more in demand than anything in the past 10 years combined. It's a shame about the circumstances in which it was brought about, but of course you probably already know that I'm talking about the reprint of JLA Avengers. I knew that all the proceeds were going to charity and that there was a limited quantity that were being made. I only had a pre-order with Read Comics, and as soon as I saw it go on the website, I knew that I needed to get my order in quick. But at the same time, I didn't think that it was ever going to happen. Don't worry, it does, else this story doesn't really have a point. I heard that Read had only got 7 copies in, and I just thought that my chances weren't on my side. But then I got a package that was none other than the book itself. I am genuinely scared to touch it. Look how I'm holding this right now. I finally managed to get my top 5 notable works for George Perez out, and this had to make it onto that list. It was the only book in that video as well that I didn't own a physical copy of. I do hope that somewhere down the line DC and Marvel can get together and reprint the deluxe slipcased edition. Wishful thinking, I know. And since I uploaded my video, George Perez has unfortunately passed away, which is just a massive loss to the community. I am donating all ad revenue from that video to the Hero Initiative, so make sure you check it out and share it where you can, and let's see if we can get some good money together for charity. Either way though, this is another book that I am never gonna sell. There's just so much meaning behind it. Will I ever be able to open and read it though? That's a different story. But if you do have a budget, one way to make it stretch further is to visit the channel's sponsor, Organic Price Books. They've got great packaging, fast shipping, and amazing customer services, and if you use code WOOFWOOF, you'll get $2 off your order. And if you're ordering 3 or more books and you want them to be delivered together, make sure you use code WOOFWOOF, ship it together for 5% off your entire order. Don't worry, you can just copy and paste them from the description down below, and you can use these codes as many times as you like. I then got another couple of books in towards the end of April, beginning of May, and the first one was one that I probably didn't need, but I actually did. That's the rationale that used to make me go over budget in the first place. But of course, it's Star Wars Darth Vader by Kieran Gillen and Salvador Larroca. Yep, the Star Wars omnibus that was missing from my collection. Again, I had the oversized hardcovers, and I've read this before, and it is my favourite Star Wars title that Marvel has printed. I recently read Charles Soule's run as well, and I just remember enjoying this that much more. But honestly, this is probably one of my top 10 reads of the past decade because it's just so good and the art is just perfect. Salvador Larroca, when he was doing Invincible Iron Man, which is something that I'm reading at the moment, had a bit of a greasy, plasticky look to his characters, but in this, he just seems to step it up another level. Vader Down was phenomenal, and I can't wait to revisit it. This is the Star Wars book that I recommend to other people that have only watched the movies, and if you're in that same boat as well, this is the one that you need to pick up, and it will convert you into a fan immediately. Now, the problem with having a budget is that you have to try and predict which books are more likely to go out to print first. But one book that I knew I couldn't sleep on, and I'm glad that I didn't, is the Thor by Jason Aaron Volume 1. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not believe that this is out of print for a long time and that you're never going to get a chance to own it again. This sold out so quickly that I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel announces something within the next couple of weeks. I went with the standard edition cover. Yeah, I did like the DM variant of Lady Thor, but I also just like this. I just wish it didn't have the widescreen. Why wasn't that part the one for issue 1 the main cover? Either way, I can't really complain too much because I know that some people are still wanting to grab this. Again, it was about £61, which did eat into the budget. I can't wait until they announce a Volume 2. I'm hoping that it happens soon because I can't wait to revisit this series. Now, yeah, it has been very Marvel heavy in this haul, but that's because of the fact that they are just releasing so many books. But an IDW book that I gave up hope on finally got released, and that is Parker the Martini Edition Volume 2. Or as it very poorly says on the spine, Parker the Martini Edition Last Call, and then V2's up here, even though my Volume 1 doesn't say Volume 1 on it. That's gonna bug my shelf OCD no end, but I just knew that this was a book that I wanted in my collection. Volume 1 is one of my favourite books that I own. It's absolutely gorgeous. Sometimes I find myself just flicking through it. Even if I'm not reading the story, I just like the production value of it. And IDW is one of those companies that puts in the work when they are giving you a premium edition. This is no exception, and the stories that are in this I never picked up in the smaller format, so this is going to be my first time reading them. And no matter what my budget would have been, I would have made some room so that I could have bought this. I can't wait to speak a bit more about Darwin Cook in an upcoming video, but I'm just so glad that this finally got printed. I swear this first got announced for release in like 2020. But there's one thing that I paid for that I didn't mention at the beginning of this video. I finally decided to subscribe to Marvel Unlimited. I've already done a video reviewing the app, and I definitely recommend checking it out for my full thoughts. And this is so valuable, and it's already saved me money because there's some titles that are coming out that I checked out on here and I realised that I wasn't a massive fan of. So if you're ever on a budget, I definitely recommend checking this out. It might sound a bit counterintuitive, but just trust me, you're going to end up saving money. But despite that, I still managed to make one more order within my budget, and the first book that I picked up was SheHulk by Peter David. This follows directly on from the Dan Slott series, so I felt that I needed this one. It is a very slim omnibus. We're talking similar lines as Howard the Duck, but Peter David's a name that I just trust. He's never really led me astray before, and I'm hoping that his SheHulk title's no different. I do want to read a bit more about this character before a TV show comes out, and I do also want to do a where to start. I already have a few titles that I've checked out, but I also want to pad it up. The joke there is that his initials are PAD. See, everybody thinks a joke's funny once it's explained. The next book that I picked up that I wanted reprinted for a good number of years is X-Men Fall of the Mutants. Now I had the original oversized hardcover, but I had to sell it when times got tough a few years ago, so it's ironic that I'm now buying it back when I'm having to tighten the belt and use a budget. But there was no way that I was going to miss out on this, and it feels like a good couple of months since I've bought an X-Men book. I remember really enjoying this when I was in my teenage years, and I'm hoping that it still holds up today. I also like that it's now in the Omnibus branding just so it fits in better with the shelf, because that kind of thing is really important to me. And again, I got this for about 43% off, so it was under £50, and I felt like that was very reasonable, and I had to make sure that I picked it up. And the last book that I got in spring is one that I actually set money aside for so that I didn't miss out. And like I said earlier, that's the reason why I liked having a budget, because it meant that I had to look analytically at each book and figure out if I really wanted it. And one book that was top of the must-buy list was Moon Knight by Houston, Benson and Hurwitz. Yep, I've had my eye on this ever since it was announced, and I'm so glad that it's finally here. I'm hoping that sales of this are good enough so that Marvel does a second volume that includes the stuff by Lemire, Warren Ellis and everybody else from the Marvel Now era. But this book is nostalgia for me. I remember one of the first times that I went into a Forbidden Planet, I saw the cover that was pretty much this, picked it up having no idea who the character was, and my mind was blown. Mostly because of the David Finch art, I had very little clue what was going on, but every time I've returned to this series, I've had a great time with it. It was why it had to be quite close to the top of the list and where to start Moon Knight. Either way, I knew I needed to buy this as soon as I saw it. Again, I got it for about 50% off, so I really can't complain. But that's my spring haul on a budget, and I'm glad that I managed to save some money while still picking up a good number of books that I really wanted. Let me know in the comment section below what you've bought in the last couple of months, or join us on a Reddit page /Maddogg Comic community. But I'm going to leave this video here. I need to find another way to try and make a bit more money. But until next time, just make sure that you stay safe and stay mad, all you dogs. Woof woof! See you at the next video.